Lisa Towles, welcome to the Bookaholic podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here, and good morning.
Yes, I'm excited to have you here. You have quite the impressive book resume, and I can't wait to introduce my audience to you because I do believe you have some compelling thrillers that people will be able to read, very quickly. It sounds so intriguing.
Thank you. It's an honor to be
You know,
here.
Yes. Now, you had a book that came out in November. Tell us about that book.
Yeah, so that's the book behind me here. It's called The Ritters, and
Mhm.
I call The Ritters sort of a first-person coming of age thriller. So I introduce a 21-year-old guy named BJ, a recent college grad, and we
Okay.
all remember from that period in our lives, he simultaneously knows everything and knows nothing. So I won't say he's arrogant because he's not. He just feels like there's no danger in the world big enough to actually scare him. And
Right.
boy, do I change that. What I put that guy through in this book.
Wow. Well, I was hooked by reading the synopsis of he receives someone approaches him and gives him an envelope and, for $1,000,000. I mean,
That's right. That's right.
you
Sounds like easy money, right? Wrong.
Sounds like sounds like easy money, but we all know there's no such thing as easy money.
That's right.
There's always attachments to quote unquote easy money.
That's right.
So tell us a little bit about this character and how he's going to flush him. We don't want to hear the entire story, but what made you want to construct this type of character, a person just out of college who knows everything and nothing at all?
That's a great question, and it's very mysterious, Deirdre. You're a readaholic, and you spend all of your time digging into, the motivations behind what makes a writer write something. And
Mhm.
I really don't know. I mean, this book is in the first person from the point of view of a young college grad of a guy, and I don't know how BJ came to me. It's kind of mysterious, but the plot takes him through an investigation of what's in the envelope that would even be worth $1,000,000, right? And the more
Right,
important investigation is why him? Why was he
right,
targeted? Why was he chosen? So
right, right.
so the deeper he digs, the more he realizes that there was nothing random about that encounter
Wow.
with the game players who gave him this assignment in the first place. And some of the backstory. BJ has a degree in computer science. He was hired as the IT guy for his brother's PI firm, but he doesn't want to do IT. He wants
Okay,
to be an investigator and be his brother's equal. So that's kind of the
okay,
subtext behind it.
okay, okay, wow. Well, it sounds totally fascinating. Now, you've written at least 7 or 8 books, and so I consider that definitely a person that can take that time and be that disciplined to write 7 to 8 books is incredible to me. One of the things I'm always curious about with writers is how they come up with the names of the characters or the worlds that they create. What is your creative process?
I think it's different for every book I write.
Oh,
I have written one series. This one back here, it's called Hot House. That's the first
mm,
in a 3-book series. But by and large, I write standalone thrillers, and it's a different cast of characters and a different set of challenges and a different quest for each book. And sometimes I get my ideas from characters on TV, from celebrities. A lot of times my
mhm,
process is as I'm building the world, building the characters, I will map a character to how I picture them based on a celebrity that I've seen on a TV show or a movie. And the advantage
mhm,
to that is that if it's an actor that I've seen, I know how they talk. I know their
right,
body language. I know how they express themselves. I know their little quirks, how they laugh, what they
yes,
find challenging. And so that makes it a little bit more real to me. And so in my own process, I have this PowerPoint slide deck that I used, and
Okay.
each character is its own slide with the actor and the actor's name and links to some of their like movie clips that I can watch to sort of inspire me.
Wow, I have never heard that before, and I've interviewed probably at least 100 authors to this point, and I do a series called the Writers Workshop, where I have brought on book coaches and ghost writers and all of these type of people, and everybody is so different. Every single person that I've interviewed under those categories have a different approach of the way they coach their potential clients. And just listening to you say that, that's the first time I've ever heard someone say something like that of getting inspiration from maybe a public figure. Now,
Mm-hmm.
you sometimes have help from the home front, right?
Yes, I do. My husband is my husband's a wonderful support for everything related to my writing. But in particular, he does give me names sometimes. I was actually asking him last night. I need a name for kind of a quirky informant, police informant type of character. I need the
Mhm.
right name. I haven't aligned this character to someone to a celebrity. Or an actor yet. I'm still kind of in the early stages, but yes, when it came to the Ritters, he gave me several character names. He's given me character names for I think almost all of my books.
Wow.
And so BJ, I don't know if you've ever seen the show called Outer Banks. There's a character on Outer Banks. I believe the character's name on the show is JJ,
Okay.
and the actor is Rudy Pankow. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his name correctly,
Right.
but Rudy Pankow's character JJ on Outer Banks was the inspiration behind my main character BJ. And if you watch even one episode of that show, you'll really get a sense of him. He brings so much to it.
Wow. I think that may be one of like a Netflix show, right?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yes, okay, and oddly enough, I live in North Carolina where the Outer Banks are,
Wow.
um, so
Okay.
yes, well, I'll have to check that out, and then after, listening to you, then probably can feel more about how you do your inspiration process works.
Mm-hmm.
Now, trilogy, you've written a trilogy, which you say you usually write standalone crime fiction.
Right.
What made you wanna write a trilogy? Where did that come from?
You know, I had wanted to write a series really from the beginning. And
Mhm.
I never knew how to do it. And I kept looking for you. I mean, honestly, for years and years, and I kept looking for workshops or courses um, or some sort of a mentor to help me figure out how to crack the code. How do you actually do it? And it was my husband, the wise sage, who just kind of shook it up one day and he said, dude, all you read are crime thriller series. Just look at
Mm.
those and find the formula. And I thought, okay, maybe into Hot House, the cast of characters was a private investigation team, Mari and Derek.
Okay.
And at the end of the first book, I just realized I'm not done yet. I'm not done with you people. I got
Right.
more to say here. There's more in the vault that needs to come out. And you know, I think a lot of times it's sort of an intuitive um, or spiritual feeling that you have at the end of a story that there's just more there. The roots are
Mhm.
deeper. You have to keep pulling them out. And I wasn't done with Mari and Derek. And in that book, Hot House, and in the two books that follow it, it's about Mari looking for her father.
Oh.
She's a former CIA operative, and she was shot in the line of duty, and her father disappeared, finding the man who shot her.
Oh, wow.
She's looking for him. That's kind of the underlying quest
Right,
of
right.
all three of the books in the series. Book two of that series is called Salt Island. It comes out in June of this year, and I don't have a
Okay.
date. I don't have a date for book three yet, but the first draft of it is done.
Wow. Well, now, what about your publishing process? Tell me about that. Are you with one of the big 5? Are you hybrid? Are you self-published?
I've really kind of been all over the publishing landscape. I've been at this for kind of a while, and I've worked with a number of smaller publishers. I've worked with one publisher where I was only the second author that they worked with. I've had an academic publisher. I've
Hmm.
had a couple commercial publishers, and right now I'm super happy to be working with Indies United Publishing. They're
Oh,
kind of hybrid in the sense that they're not really small anymore because they have 60 authors, I think that they're working with.
okay.
They're relatively new, I think, like 6 years, 6 or 7 years, or something like that. So not really all that new, not really all that small, and they're hybrid in the sense that um, that you can leverage through this publisher. We can leverage their tools that they have available for publishing, or if we have our own, we can use those. And that's what's great is the creative freedom. I really want that. In other words, I have a cover designer that I work with that I absolutely love, and my
Hmm.
publisher lets me use her. I have to
Hmm.
pay, I have to pay for it myself if I'm not leveraging the cover designers that they have in house. For that, I wouldn't need to pay
Hmm.
for it. But and I also have an editor that I've been working with for a number of books, and I love working with her, and I have that freedom to do that if I want. So there's a lot there for me and for authors if we want it. But if we kind of have our own shtick going, we can use all that too. So that feels really good to me. And Salt Island coming out in June will be the fourth book that I've had published by them. So I'm just terribly grateful.
Wow, that sounds amazing. I was just looking while you were speaking at the cover of Hot House, and I thought it's really cool because, I'm going to confess, I do judge books by their cover, and then I turn in, to the inside page to read about it. But I mean, I like a good cover, and
Mhm.
Hot House cover is really intriguing. I really like it. And so, to me, from the sounds of it, if I were an author, nothing would be worse than somebody telling me that my vision for the cover is not good when I've been dealing with my characters and their world the whole time. And then they come up with something else. And if you were with one of the larger publishing houses, kind of like squashing your idea, like it's our way or the highway type of thing.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think there's a lot that you gain when working with one of the big five or a more traditional publishing house, but there's also a lot that you lose in terms of control over the process and choices and decision making.
Mhm.
I think those publishers have limited resources and they have kind of a singular way of doing things, and you're lucky to be brought on by them because it's incredibly competitive. I'm not working with an agent either, and I don't need an agent to work with this publisher. I looked for an agent for many years, and I've actually had two of them um,
Mhm.
earlier on, and they didn't end up selling my books to publishers. I got close a couple times, and I ended up selling them myself. And so that's
Oh.
why I say I've been sort of all over the publishing landscape. I did self-publish one book
Mhm.
because I had a commercial publisher that folded right before release, which was just heartbreaking. So I had to do it
Oh.
myself. And that was really hard. And it was really good for me to
Yeah.
understand what goes into self publishing. So I'm delighted that I don't have to do that now. And I have a
Right.
publisher that I can work with, but I also have a lot of say in the process, which just means the world to me.
Yes, that does sound amazing. Now, going back to Hot House and that trilogy, you said there's two characters, and I know about I guess it's a female. Her father disappears, but it's a male and female dynamic, correct?
Right, that's right. And it was my husband that gave me the name. This book came up because of him. So,
Okay.
so my husband came up the stairs right there, now a number of years ago, and he said, "Hey, I have a character name. I'm just gonna give it to you and just do what you want with it, okay?" And I said, "Okay." And he said, "Derek Abernathy," and I said, "Oh, I like that, Derek Abernathy." I had no idea. I didn't know anything about it. It was just like a name. And I said, write it on a little slip of paper and put it at the top of my file. And he said, okay. And it sat there on a little piece of paper like this big, Derek Abernathy, for
Mhm.
18 months. And I
Oh,
kept it on the top of the file so I would passively be seeing it as I walked by in my
mhm.
office. For 18 months, nothing. And then suddenly I got the idea. the character of Mari just kind of arrived in my head at some point, and she was talking about Derek, and she'd been a private investigator, but she needed a partner.
Okay.
And she did this kind of scam to sort of find a partner, and it was sort of funny how they met. And that's how that happened. And they had a wonderful partnership. And Derek Abernathy is modeled after the comedian Dennis Leary. He's also
Oh,
Dennis Leary is also an actor, but
gotcha.
kind of a wisecracking guy, really
Yeah.
funny, and that's who I pictured for that character. And their partnership was just so funny. They were just delightful. So they were the right. And Mari is modeled after the actress Renee Russo. And Renee Russo and Dennis Leary were actually in a movie together. They were in that movie, The Thomas Crown Affair, with Pierce Brosnan, who played a jewel thief.
Yes, yes, he was the cop.
Yes, that's right. And Mari was
Yes,
Renee Russo was, I think she was the insurance appraiser. And
yes,
and so they had that dynamic in that movie. I've watched that movie so many times now, but I saw their dynamic working together, and they were hilarious in that movie. And I brought that. I don't know if I consciously brought that into this book, but that was what was coming to me. And like I'm sure you've heard this from many authors that you interview. The
mhm.
creative process is mysterious. I mean, a lot of times when someone says, "Where do you get this idea from?" I'm like, I have no idea. I mean, when our brains are passive,
Yeah,
when we're driving, when we're in the shower, when we're like
yeah,
chopping zucchini on like a cutting board, you're not
yes,
using your higher intellect for that. You're using like very
right.
like, very limited intellect. And so when your brain can kind of relax, a lot of times that's when something comes up and you're like, oh, that's interesting. And
Yes.
when you get something juicy, right? You know when something comes up and it's just like, oh yeah, whatever. But when something comes up and you're like, I feel energy there. There's something there.
Yeah.
And that's when you go and write it down, and it's fun.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, I was going to ask you if there was any sexual tension between these two characters, this male character and this female character. And then when you brought up that who they were sort of based upon, in that movie, The Thomas Crown Affair, which by the way is one of my favorite movies that I can watch over and over again if it happens to be on cable. I'll just click in and it's just wonderful. I loved that movie. But yes, so it's kind of like Renee Russo. I think Dennis Leary's character falls in love with her just by their work interaction. But of course, there was always the rich guy, Pierce Brosnan. So do they have any tension like that?
Um, I think in that movie, Dennis Leary, yeah, was a little bit jealous of Rene Russo's relationship with Pierce Brosnan.
Yes.
In
Yeah.
in Hot House, and in the series is called the E&A series.
Okay.
Mari Elwin and Derek Abernathy, and they develop a kind of they build a business together. E&A Investigations, that's their business.
Okay.
So that's the series. So there's not really sexual tension in that book, but they develop a deep affection for each other.
Okay.
So
Okay.
so Derek ends up as kind of one of her sort of bodyguards, and every time there's a potential attraction between her and another man, he's definitely got something to say about it. But more like as a big brother, I think. There's something that
Okay.
happens in that book where, because Derek he's a very sensitive person.
Oh.
Mari's father disappeared.
Uh-oh.
Father disappeared. Derek had been wearing his father's watch. I actually have it over there. I bought one like this. It's just a it belonged to his father, and so he wears it to remember him. He gave Mari
Mhm.
that watch. He said, my father's passed on now, but here's his watch, and now you can wear this until you find your father. And she was so touched by that.
Oh
Touched
gosh, that
that
is.
she was touched that he remembered that it was the 2-year anniversary of his disappearance. But and now she wears this watch for the whole series, and she even wears it to bed sometimes when she's feeling kind of out of sorts. And so they have a really deep emotional connection.
Oh, wow. Amazing, amazing. Well, not only, are you a very seasoned author in my mind, but you won several book awards. Amazon, the Book Fest, first place winner of 2022 Literary Award, Mystery and Crime, Titan Gold Award winner. You've even had a YA thriller. Oh my goodness, you've gotten a lot of awards. So how does this award process work? Do you submit it? Does the publisher submit it, or do people just pick it up and just say, "Hey, let's just nominate this author in this book"?
I think it can work in any of those ways that you just outlined. For Reader's Favorite or Reader's Choice Awards, readers decide that your book is award worthy, and they can upvote it on that site. There are
Mhm,
some awards that I submit the book to. There are,
mhm.
I think almost all of them will accept a submission from a publisher, but I try to be mindful of what I'm asking my publisher to do, because she
Right.
manages 60 authors, and if I can do it myself, I do. And some of them, you submit a book once it comes out. Other awards want a book after it's already been out for a while. Some of them before the book is published. So they're all kind of different, and it just kind of depends. Um, I'm very grateful that some readers have really liked, especially my last few books, and it's
Mhm.
inspiration to keep writing for them. I mean,
Yeah.
it's really the audience of dedicated readers. That's what keeps us going. So I mean, I have such reverence for them, and we really owe them everything.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, Lisa, it has been wonderful speaking with you today. We will have all of your information, how to connect with you online, links to your books and the podcast show notes, and also in the video description box on YouTube. And I do believe my listeners rather, are going to love being exposed to your work. So the Ritters, which was out November 22nd, and the Hot House series, and many more books that you have, I'm sure my audience will enjoy.
Thank you so much, Deirdre. It means so much to me that you had me on your podcast, and I've listened to many of your episodes, and it's just such an honor to be here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you.